Suzag and McLean claimed a level of proficiency that reassured their neighbors. Stenson and Hicks valued Suzag's and McLean's authority and expertise. The pregnant mothers guided the delivery from their own sensations and focused on accomplishing the useful task of delivery. An ordinary duty, but also one that held some level of excitement and import. Each of the participating women turned her attention both inward and outside of herself. The mothers claimed an active role in childbirth, while their attendants offered knowledgeable and supportive assistance. This is the Earthbound Parenting Podcast, where we discuss all things pregnancy, birth, postpartum, partnership, parenting, and how to take radical responsibility in each one. Being earthbound is a wild adventure, so allow me to be your guide. I'm your hostess, Chaya Shual, traditionally trained birth guardian, birth educator, and mother of 4 unassisted home birthed boys. In today's episode, I will be reviewing Birthing the West by Jennifer J. Hill. This is not just any book. This book is amazing. It's profound. It's so eye-opening, and I can't even begin to tell you how inspiring and infuriating and validating that it is. This book is, I didn't even realize how amazing this book was when I first picked it up. It was recommended to me by a friend who had taken the Birthcraft workshop, my Birthcraft workshop, and she said that this book is everything I could have hoped for. It's so fascinating. So I picked it up and I have read it, and it was so profound I had to share some thoughts with you. So here we go. So this book is, first of all, a historical account of birth on the Northern Plains from the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's not a birth philosophy book. It's documented record. It's an anthropological book. She's written it very well. It's very palatable, very lovely to read. But it is a documented record of how women actually did birth, how women actually birthed in that era, pre-licensure, pre-spread of obstetrics here in the U.S. Well, here's the book. So it's Mothers and Midwives in the Rockies and Plains. So it's Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Montana primarily is what she's talking about. Birth in that era, in that area. She went looking for this story. She understood that birth is woven into every part of history, every culture, every society. It happens because if it doesn't happen, then humans don't happen, and there is no culture, and there is no community, right? So, but it's been missing from lots of historical records. We talk about the feats of men in war. We know the details of industries taking off and things like that. But she noticed that there was this big gap in the area of birth knowledge, especially in this turn of the century era. And so that's basically what she set out. She went all over the place. She traveled. She collected all these records and things. It's really fascinating. She shares the details of that in her book. But the stories that she collects and how she collects them is also really fascinating. So you really just have to read the book. But I'm going to share with you some notes. Bear with me. This is the first time I've ever done a book review in this way. So it may be a little clunky, but it's definitely worth listening and following me, okay? Because it just paints this amazing picture. So she went looking for these stories, and she found a landscape full of women. So I'm going to read you this quote. She says, "In searching for Mary Cass Meyer, I discovered a landscape full of women exerting themselves in the effort of birthing babies, women assisting at births, women cleaning up from deliveries, women talking about their pregnancies, women teaching and learning from each other, women being present when a child died, and women visiting each other's homes before, during, and after birth. Instead of anecdotes about a few maverick midwives, My research documented the uncounted details of a story written, acted, directed, and produced by women. So in this book, we discover, we can see what birth looked like before the medical model. Women birthed in a female sphere. Neighbors, family, community, women helping women, family helping family, neighbors helping neighbors, with chores and childcare. It was multi-generational. Women birthed amongst other women, neighbors, family, community. There were no reproductive heroics. There was no, it wasn't a big drama. It seems like it was just normal, and women turning their attention inward and toward each other. Pregnancy was tracked by feel and instinct, not tests and tools. And I have some quotes that I'm going to share in a minute. It was women teaching and learning from each other. They were present before, during, and after birth. They were around each other. They had witnessed it. It was just a part of the culture. It was just part of women's culture, being around birth, hearing about birth. Children would also witness their mothers giving birth, their family members giving birth, young girls, teenage girls, young women, before they were mothers themselves. And then when they became mothers, they knew enough to go and support their neighbors. So some quotes I want to share with you. Suzag and McLean claimed a level of proficiency that reassured their neighbors. Stenson and Hicks valued Suzag's and McLean's authority and expertise. The pregnant mothers guided the delivery from their own sensations and focused on accomplishing the useful task of delivery. An ordinary duty, but also one that held some level of excitement and import. Each of the participating women turned her attention both inward and outside of herself. The mothers claimed an active role in childbirth, while their attendants offered knowledgeable and supportive assistance. Discarding stereotypical notions allows us to observe what we otherwise might miss, that women birthed without reproductive heroics. They managed delivery within a female sphere, and they were desirous of consideration and support. Mothers guessed in early stages of pregnancy about whether or not they were expecting, and wondered at the end of the pregnancy about when they might actually deliver. When it came to discussing conception or tests or tools, that's what they did. Community was also the safety net, more than anything else. Neighbors crossed impassable snowdrifts to reach laboring mothers, because that was the job. That was just what neighbors did. I found the best liver supplements and collagen out there, and I found it just for you and for me. I found it actually for me first, but now I'm sharing it with you. Okay, introducing Kosher Carnivore. They have beef liver capsules that are crafted in small batches from pasture-raised, grass-fed cows, ranch to table in Florida. There are absolutely no fillers, flow agents, GMOs, or allergens. 100% freeze-dried and 100% glot kosher. Beef liver is nature's true superfood with over 23 different vitamins and minerals made bioavailable by God himself, including iron and copper. A powerful supplement during pregnancy and postpartum, but honestly, it's powerful for everyone in any season of life. Kosher Carnivore now offers collagen and creatine as well from the same great sources. This is a brand that deeply cares about quality, so don't miss out. Get 15% off your Kosher Carnivore order when you use code KAYA. Follow the link in the show notes and get shopping. Let me read you this quote, or actually this story that is shared. Mary Zonto hired a doctor to assist at her delivery, but impenetrable snowdrifts blocked his progress. Assuming that no help could reach their dwelling, Zonto and her husband planned to manage the delivery on their own. Fortunately, a local woman, a kind of midwife, arrived. Zonto expressed gratitude for the unexpected assistance, especially since the couple did not know whether they would have tied the cord or not. We might wonder how the midwife found a way through the otherwise impassable drifts. Perhaps midwifery training, later derided by doctors and health department officials as lacking intellectual sophistication, included a lesson missing from the more cultured medical school curriculum: how to push onward through driving snow to reach laboring mothers. In the absence of family or midwives, neighbors stood in and served in a supportive role for each other. As Ethel Ide of Spartan, North Dakota, explained, in cases of illness or childbirth, community women stepped in to clean, cook, and perform all tasks necessary to take care of them. Mary Zonto remembered being sent to fetch a neighbor, Mrs. Fleming, to help out when Zonto's mother gave birth. Fleming arrived and sent the children up the ladder to their beds in the loft for the night. The next morning, when Zonto woke up and climbed back down from the ladder, her mother had somebody wrapped up in the blanket. Zonto joyfully discovered her sister Rose, the cutest doll. Fleming performed the tasks traditionally assigned to multiple family members, helping with and cleaning up from delivery, tending to the mother and infant, and remaining in the home to feed the family and oversee management of the household while the mother recuperated. When neighboring women were unavailable, husbands stood in as support but required direction from the birthing mother. That's another note that Hill makes in her book. Childbirth was also considered a family affair, and every available adult, including hired men, had a role in the delivery of each child. Another part of community as a safety net meant that isolation was a serious danger. When unsupported, women struggled with pregnancy-related complications. When under stress, their babies died more frequently. Women actually feared solo birth, but community almost always showed up. Only about 1% of the women studied had experienced an entirely solo birth, a remarkable finding, given the overwhelming challenges of delivering services to small, scattered, and often transient Northern Plains populations. The Federal Children's Bureau confirmed what children already knew. When it was founded in 1912, Julia Lathrop was appointed director, by the way, first woman director of a federal department. But in 1912, under her supervision, the Bureau determined that poverty actually caused infant mortality regardless of race or social standing of the parents, and that isolation intensified both the need and the difficulties of safeguarding life. So it seems like, instead of what somebody might think, that free birth was prevalent back in the day, that is like the ancestral way of doing things, it seems that actually community birth, like women amongst women, neighbors serving neighbors, helping neighbors, that was actually more prevalent, whether a professional was there or not. It wasn't solo, it wasn't alone, it wasn't isolated. And when women were isolated, they didn't have support, they didn't have the money to pay for support. That was when terrible things happened across the board. It didn't matter, again, it didn't matter about race, didn't matter about social standing. That's just what was the case. And then it gets into how the medical model took over a little bit. And there's actually more in the book, but I'm not gonna really rail on about that today. So it goes on to share about how male physicians organized, sought clients, improved their social standing, and targeted midwives to eliminate competition. So I have some quotes for you here. Childbirth had long been considered the province of women, in part because it was seen as an act too tiresome and inappropriate for men's involvement. I agree. From the late 1700s through the early 1900s, male physicians sought to gain access to and experience in delivery. With medicine's push to expand delivery services, male doctors made inroads into this once exclusively female domain. As allopathic physicians organized, sought more clients, and worked to improve their social standing, they targeted midwives in an attempt to reduce competition for birthing services. Nothing's changed. Support for midwifery remained strong initially, but eventually diminished under the onslaught of organized attacks from male physicians. Eventually, physicians came to oversee the majority of deliveries, and the medical model of childbirth emerged unchallenged. This change was most pronounced in the eastern and urban areas of the United States, and because the geographic and weather-related challenges of delivery in the West made it far more difficult to attend and profit from birthing services, demand for midwifery care in the northern plains did not dim as rapidly as in other more settled and accessible regions. And to share another quote, those who attended American technobirth, the monitor everything with machines approach, issued dire warnings about the consequences of foregoing a long battery of medical tests and procedures. They also supplied copious anecdotes about mothers and infants dying from freak infections and undiagnosed diseases. The opposing position portrayed mothers as reproductive mavens, capable of safe deliveries if left entirely unmolested to birth in a clump of bushes while chewing on birch twigs. They promulgated women's ability to achieve nirvana through female empowerment, deep squats, and primal grunting. In contrast to these modern caricatures of childbirth, Suzag, McLean, Stenson, and Hicks looked to each other, not to medical intervention or to the procreative power of a female deity. Suzag and McLean claimed a level of proficiency that reassured their neighbors, and I shared the other part of this quote earlier. The reason that I bring that part up is because the medical model portrays home birth and natural birth as this like horrifically dangerous thing. And I think those on my side of the aisle, I guess, there are a lot of people who are well-intended, and I would say the medical model is, I would say maybe the intention is also good, because they're trying to keep people safe, right? And they just don't understand on the medical side. Well, on the natural birth side, there's too much of a pendulum swing. And trying to correct the medical model view with a full pendulum swing actually erases reality. Because when women are portrayed as just like when they're left completely untouched, that everything goes perfectly and it's amazing and miraculous, that's not entirely true. That's not entirely realistic. That's not entirely real life. And yes, that is absolutely possible, but it's just not the case across the board. It's not 100% going to happen, 100% reality. And what I found in this book, when talking about these real stories, sharing real stories, there was too much. I have so many quotes, but there just was so much to share. I basically was like just going to be reading the whole book to you. And it was really hard not to do that. And I'm sure that you could sense that I'm sort of struggling even now, even with my notes. I want to share everything with you because this book is so profound. And for someone like me that likes to stay grounded in reality, I love to envision and I love to philosophize and I love to theorize. And it's very tempting to fall into a place of idealistic imaginings. But here in the real world, in real life, where I am witnessing very real birth and someone else might be planning very real life birth and somebody else might be wanting someday, aspiring to witness and attend very real birth, it is so important to stay grounded in reality. And this book is reality. There's nothing in this book that is not real life. Her whole journey is an anthropologic journey. It's so fascinating. It's historical documents. She read diary after diary. People, when they found out about her search, sent her pictures of their family. There's all kinds of really cool pictures in this book. Pictures of their family, of their ancestors, their grandmother. They had her diary, their grandmother's diary, and they shared that with her. So many family members of midwives who never, called themselves a midwife, who attended many, many births, and then some who attended 6 births, and some who only only had the experience of their own birth before they went to attend their neighbor. It's just so enlightening, and I'm struggling to even describe how eye-opening and mind-blowing it was, and also how beautiful, because real life is like nature. It's powerful, it's humbling, but it's also so beautiful and nuanced and amazing. But before I wrap this review up, this is probably poor excuse of a review, I want to share with you what was clearly lost, what was outlined in history, this pattern, this just clear void that was created because of how history went. Let me read you this quote. How many women learned their trade but did not claim the title? How many saw birth as female and private while viewing the government as public and belonging to men? The majority of these women were forgotten by history and remain so, in a reality that seems irreversible. For those women who delivered babies, even in the 20th century, their legacy and knowledge, compassion, service, and struggle disappeared with their deaths. There's no way to recapture their lives or the value ascribed to them by the mothers they helped, the communities they supported, or the infants they caught. Why does any of this matter now? Why did I even bother with a book review that I stumbled through this entire time? Because this matters now. These stories matter now. This is what I do with Birthcraft and in my Earthbound ecosystem is not new. It's a continuation of something very old that was deliberately interrupted. We didn't even really get into the history. There's so much in this book, but then there's just so much history when it comes to the history of obstetrics and birth in this country. The women in this book weren't credentialed. They weren't licensed. Only a few of them were. Some of them, well, they weren't licensed, but they were trained. Most of the women in this book are homegrown. They're just community members. They're just mothers that helped other women. They were trusted because they showed up, they knew what they were doing, and they understood that birth belonged to women. I'm going to read you one more quote. My mental picture shifted as I added those incomplete yet multitudinous records to those of the women in early state and county sources, bold enough to list themselves as providers. These were not scattered malcontents, searching for reproductive risk, but rather the norm, the routine, the ordinary. The knowledge didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it was made inconvenient for a system that needed compliance, that needed control, that needed to meddle. Restoring that knowledge isn't radical. It's not dangerous. It's not new age or new in any kind of way. It's a return. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I teach what I teach in Birthcraft. And I created Birthcraft before I read this book. This book just blasted the doors open that I was sort of like just creaking open and just like, I'm pretty sure we can open this. And this book just blew everything up, just like threw a bomb in there. It blasted the doors open. So if this book inspired you, or my review of this book inspired you, please go read this book. Please go read. This is like a must read for anyone in birth work. Anyone in birth work. Anyone who values American heritage or traditional living, homesteading, like DIYers. This is amazing. This is amazing. And I know it's covering just a specific area of the US, but I'm sure it's a story that's reflected in many rural parts of this country and the world. So please go read that book. There's so much more. I barely scratched the surface. Please go read it. It might make you cry. It made me cry. There are like some points where I was just like, oh my gosh, what a story. And if you are feeling inspired to learn these skills, to be reunited with this culture of birth being normal and birth belonging to women and women helping women and this knowledge belonging to the community. If you want to be reunited with that, then join my next cohort of Birthcraft. You can find details about that on earthboundparenting.org/birthcraft. And yeah, join me. Join this movement. Learn these skills for yourself, for your family, for your neighbors. Take it back. Even if you don't know what you're going to do with it just yet, take it back, because these folk birth skills, this community birth knowledge, it's ours. And it won't be ours if you are not a part of taking that knowledge back for yourself. It will remain somebody else's unless you take that up. As always, if you're new here and preparing for sovereign birth, start with the Secret series. It's private and designed to orient you properly. It's great. It's a great starting point for intentional birth preparation. Details in the show notes. Otherwise, feel free to share your input in the comments below and try to keep things civilized. Remember, we can only do our best with the tools we have. If you've gotten value out of this video, give us a like, subscribe, or consider donating through my website, earthboundparenting.org. And with that, bye-bye for now. Intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this video is medical or legal advice. By engaging with this content, you agree to take full responsibility for your own experiences and decisions as a result. Everything on this channel is property of Prudence Ministries, a private healing association, unless otherwise stated. Blessed is Adonai, divine sovereign, who brought us to this place and this time for this purpose.